Hello and welcome to this jazz guitar lesson. I'm Chris Whiteman and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to look at the Wes Montgomery composition Twisted Blues from his 1961 album So Much Guitar, originally released on the Riverside label. So let's take a look at what's happening here. The first thing I like to do is look at the form of the song, and this tune is called Twisted Blues, so some may assume that it's a 12-bar jazz blues, but it's not. It's actually a 32-bar form comprised of two 16-bar sections. There's a difference between the first and the second 16 bars in that the second 16 bars has a definitive ending that the first 16 bars does not have. And we'll look at that more in depth as we get into the song. So the second thing I like to do is identify the key of a song. And one of the ways you can do this is look at the final resolution. What's happening at the end of the tune? Where is it resolving to? In this tune at the end, we have a cadence, a 2-5-1 into the key of D flat. So that's going to help us establish that this tune is in the key of D flat. And then this is going to be further corroborated when we look at the melody. So let's do that now. The first melody statement starts like this. And Wes is using octaves. Let's talk about it without the octaves first. The notes are D flat to E to G flat, and then we slide into A flat, up to D flat, back to G flat, to D flat, to E. And then basically I'm just grabbing an octave below each one of those notes. And, Wes plays through them with his thumb. The other option is to grab each string with a different finger and pinch. You do that, or you can play with a pick. It works like that too. I'm going to stick with my thumb today since it's a Wes tune. Now, what is obscured based on where it is, you might not see it right away, but this melody is coming right out of the D flat minor pentatonic. And you'll probably know this pentatonic box up here on the 9th fret, D flat minor pentatonic. Probably familiar to most guys that have been playing guitar for a while. Now, I mentioned earlier that we are in the key of D flat major. And one way to get a really bluesy sound is to use the minor pentatonic of the key you're in, right? So D flat major, we're going to use D flat minor pentatonic. He does slide into that A flat from G. And that G is actually the flat 5. So it's just brief, but if you put that together with the D flat minor pentatonic, now I have a 6-note scale, and it's the D flat minor blues scale. So if I was playing single notes only and I want to use this pentatonic minor blues pattern, it would look like this. Right? And then Wes does it like this. And then we have a response with these chordal stabs. G flat 7, just 3 notes. I have E, B flat, and D flat. And then I move the G13 to G7, back to G flat 7. Right? So that's a nice little move. If you put the two together, you get this. And then it repeats with a slight variation on the melody. Second time, up to D flat, right? And it finishes the same way and the same chord stabs. Put those two pieces together. And then we have a new melody statement. It's just two notes. It's B flat to D flat. He slides in from the A into the B flat. Octaves again, right? So slide into the B flat, to the D flat. And then we have a little diminished harmonic run. So B flat diminished. And then I'm going to move up in minor thirds. The first move is going to take me to D flat diminished, and the second one to E diminished. Now all three of those voicings have the same four notes, just in different orders. They're inversions of themselves. Diminished is a symmetrical scale, so you start getting symmetrical motion. So put that together and you get this. And then the melody starts out the same. And we go somewhere new now. Here, we're going to go to D flat with a 9. Now we're going to move into one of Wes's signature harmonic moves, and that is a series of descending 2/5s that don't resolve. So we have D flat 9. Now we move up to B minor 9 to E 9, right? So that's a 2/5. Not in relation to the key center. These are just independent 2/5s, right? So B minor 9 to E 9. To B flat minor 9, to E flat 9. Now we jump to E minor 9, to A7, E flat minor 9, to A flat 7, D minor 9, to G7. Oh, I want to show you Wes's fingering for these 2/5s. I was watching a video of him, and what he does is he actually bars the ring finger. So this is my E minor 9. I have E with the middle, G with the index, and then D and F sharp with the ring. So E minor is going to go to A7. He uses a rootless A7, and it's kind of slick. What he does is he leaves his index finger down as an anchor. The middle finger comes off. The ring finger slides into the C sharp, and then the middle finger goes down on E. So there's your flat 7, your third, and your fifth of A7. It's a real nice movement. For me, actually, it's even easier if I don't bar, if I use a pinky on the F sharp. So I have middle, index, ring, pinky, and then I move there. And just keep that sequence going down, right? So E minor 9, A7, E flat minor 9, A flat 7, D minor 9 to G7. And that's the first 16 bars of the tune. Let's put the first 16 bars together. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that covers the first 16 bars. Now you have most of the tune because the second 16 bars are virtually identical with the exception of an ending. I'm going to play the second 16 bars now, and we're going to stop when we get to the new section of the second half of the tune. So again, it starts off just like the first half. Now, this is the new section. After the B flat minor 9, we go to E flat minor 11, and then on the record I can hear him hit a B flat, and then he comes to D7 sharp 9, and he does it 2 times, and then moves down to D flat 7 sharp 9. Now, this is the 2-5-1 that I mentioned earlier. So we have E flat minor 11, right? So we have a G flat, a D flat, we have a 9 as well. Your F is your 9, and then your A flat is your 11th. So this is functioning as your 2, right? If I had a root in there, it would look like this, right? And then instead of an A flat 7, he's using a tritone substitution, right? So it looks like the upper structure of an A flat 13, he puts a D in the bass, so we get D7 sharp 9, and then he moves down a half step, and instead of resolving to major, right, he actually does dominant, and he makes it dominant 7th with a sharp 9. Right. And again, this is along the same lines of when we use a minor blues or minor pentatonic over a major tonality, it gives us a little more tension. That's what's happening here. We're really getting more tension and a really bluesy characteristic. So the idea of a 2-5-1 having to be, 2 has to be minor, the 5 has to be dominant, and the 1 has to be major. Those diatonic rules start to break down in application of this music, right? We have a lot of freedom to change the voicings, the type of voicings we're using. We're not changing the function. It's still giving us the function of a 2-5-1, different flavor though. So that's the whole tune. I'm going to put up a backing track at tempo. This thing is moving pretty quick. I think it's about 240 beats per minute on the recording. So I'm going to pull up a backing track, play the whole thing again so you can see it in time. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. All the information today is available in a PDF download for my Patreon subscribers. There's a link in the description. It will have standard notation, tablature, chord symbols. There's a lot of cool stuff in this tune. If you're unfamiliar with octaves, it's an opportunity to start to practice those, as well as a lot of nice voicings and harmonic motion. So I hope you found this useful, and I'll see you next time.